Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video. Make sure you like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. And today we're going to be making a tier list of all of the prospective 2024 Republican candidates. I know it is very early on, but we're approximately 3 years away from the Iowa caucuses and the New Hampshire primary. So I wanted to go through this. I wanted to make a tier list starting with S tier, which is the best, and it goes down to F tier, which is the worst. And I've compiled 34 candidates that are either expected to run or are generating some speculation about launching a 2024 bid, mainly from Wikipedia, and we're going to be going through each candidate, and we are going to be deciding which tier they are going to go in. And we're going to get started here. One disclaimer I did want to get out of the way first was that I did include people that Wikipedia said have declined to run, usually because a lot of the people that may decline to run now will eventually change their minds. People like Ron DeSantis, Kristi Noem, Tucker Carlson, I guarantee you a good half of them on that list will run. So for that reason alone, I did include them. But either way, we're going to start now. By the way, I will leave the link in the description of the tier maker so you guys can make your own tier list if you like. And we're going to get started here. So we're going to start with Steve Bannon. Now, Steve Bannon, a lot of people are going to be scratching their heads saying, why Bannon? Well, Bannon thought about running in 2020. He never did. And Bannon is somebody that specializes in populist rhetoric, and he could potentially fill a void if he decides to run. However, there are concerns with Bannon, mainly generating around the fact that he has a money laundering scandal and the fact that, as Trump has said, he's fairly sloppy in terms of his appearance, so he would have to clean himself up first. But either way, he's a smart guy. I'm going to put him in the B tier right here. Up next on the list is Dan Bongino. Wikipedia says Dan Bongino is speculating a run. He has expressed interest in running for president. So Bongino is somebody who is aligned with a lot of the alt-tech sites. He's kind of a radio host. I don't really see him going anywhere if he does. I don't know that much about his policy, but he seems like a run-of-the-mill guy. We're going to put him down here in the D tier. Up next is Candace Owens. Candace Owens, the political firebrand. She's generated a lot of controversy over the past couple of years. She is under the publicly expressed interest to run section on Wikipedia. However, I'm not necessarily so sure that Candace Owens, she hasn't held public office in the past. I'm not so sure that she would even really stand a chance in the nomination. She does seem to be a fighter, but there's concerns about her potentially being a grifter as well. So we're going to put her in the top of the D tier here. Charlie Baker is up next. I don't even think I need to explain this one. Charlie Baker is a very weak governor out of the state of Massachusetts. Very rhino governor, like an actual rhino. He is a social liberal. He also is very moderate economically as well, really doesn't bring anything to the table, just an establishment guy. He's going to go in the F tier. Condoleezza Rice was a neoconservative in the Bush cabinet, definitely helped us get involved in a lot of these foreign wars, kept us in wars, somebody who I really wouldn't want running the country. So we're going to put her in the F tier. Up next is Dan Crenshaw. Dan Crenshaw, here's a guy who runs a campaign for Congress as an anti-establishment type of conservative, then gets into Congress, gets co-opted by special interests, starts shilling for foreign intervention, starts publicly supporting red flag laws, eroding away the fabric of our Second Amendment despite claiming to be a conservative. Crenshaw is somebody who only really cares about economic freedom, really doesn't do us any good as a party. He's going to go in the F tier. Up next is Lieutenant Governor of Texas, Dan Patrick. Now, the thing about Dan Patrick is nobody really knows that much about him other than the fact he likes to anger the left, and he does so very effectively. So we're going to put him in the C tier for that reason alone. I don't really know that much about his policy otherwise, but from what we know about him, we'll put him in the C tier. Up next is Eric Trump. Eric Trump is my favorite Trump kid. He definitely is more in the executive side of things. He's definitely stayed outside of the political ring for a while now. Eric, I like Eric. I would trust him more than I trust Don Jr. as being the heir to the president. And for that reason alone, we're going to put Eric in the B tier. Up next, Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz will talk a big game sometimes, but at the same time, here's a guy who gives off a slimy vibe of a typical politician. And he's fairly liberal on some social issues, and for that reason alone, we're going to be putting him in the C tier. He has been a big supporter of the president, but there are a lot of caveats and red flags that we do have with Matt Gaetz. Up next is Greg Abbott. This guy is just a run-of-the-mill governor from Texas. He was not as good as Rick Perry was, and just really doesn't bring much to the table. We're going to put him in the D tier. Nikki Haley, I don't even think I need to explain this one, but she's been abysmal. Just the head of the establishment. Everybody in the establishment wants her to run in 2024, and she is just another run-of-the-mill neocon. And we're going to put her right where she belongs in the F tier. Larry Hogan, another Charlie Baker. He's a little bit better than Charlie Baker, but not really by much at all. I will be putting him above Baker because he did not vote for Joe Biden in this election, but that's a very, very low bar. This guy should not get any votes in an actual Republican primary, so we're going to be putting him in the F tier. Up next is Ivanka. Ivanka is a social liberal. She is not her father's daughter when it comes to politics. In fact, her involvement with the administration, in my opinion, held it back from its original agenda. A lot of people like Ivanka out there, but at the same time, Ivanka's policy is not what I would want. She's effectively a liberal. We are going to be putting her in the F tier next to Nikki Haley and Dan Crenshaw. So up next, we have Josh Hawley. Hawley is great on economics. I like Josh Hawley a lot. I think that Josh Hawley is, he's a populist. If he gets a little bit stronger on immigration, I'd put him in the S tier. Other than that, he's been a great fighter as of late, which, a couple months ago, I would have had him in the B tier, C tier. I think he's done enough to get into the A tier for now. We're going to leave him in the A tier. And currently, he is our highest ranked contender here. Up next is Mike Pence. Now, if Mike Pence did not betray the president, in my opinion, he would be right here. But he's just not really that good on the issues, in my opinion. He historically had supported free trade in the past. He ran for governor of Indiana on a pro-free trade message, you could say. And all around is just a run-of-the-mill establishment guy. For that reason alone, I'm going to be putting him in the D tier. Up next is Kristi Noem. I think Kristi Noem has potential to be Nikki Haley 2.0, honestly. She had a fairly moderate voting record in the Congress and in South Dakota, even though I believe that she's done great in regards to limiting the lockdowns in the state. She also has accepted a large amount of refugees to the area. However, on rhetoric, she's been fairly good. She gave the intro to the great Trump speech in Mount Rushmore in the 4th of July last year, and she's probably better than some of these candidates down here, so for that reason alone, for now, she'll head the C tier. I think in terms of a vice presidential candidate, she could be a good complement to like a Hawley or a DeSantis or even a Trump. But in terms of her being the leader of that ticket, I probably would pump the brakes on that one. Up next is Lindsey Graham. This guy never met a war he didn't like, a fair-weather friend of the president. He was good in the Kavanaugh hearings, but that's about it. We're going to put Graham in the F tier here. Marco Rubio, this guy, he'll say anything to get elected, this guy. He will use some populist rhetoric here and there. He is well-liked in Florida. Other than that, that's really it. This guy cannot be trusted. He supported amnesty in the past, and he got a lot of funding from a lot of the same people that want open borders. So we're going to be putting Rubio right here in the D tier. So up next, we have Mike Lindell. Mike Lindell is the inventor of MyPillow, has the potential to be an outsider businessman the way that Donald Trump was back in 2016. However, Lindell's kind of gone off the deep end lately in terms of some of the wacky things he's been saying surrounding the whole January 20th thing and saying, oh, this is going to happen and this is going to happen and things like that. And I feel like he has potential, but I feel like if he keeps up with some of the, rhetoric that he's been using and, conspiracies and things like that, it's going to hold back his potential. So right now we're going to be putting him in the B tier. Other than that, I am a fan of the guy. He's a great businessman, has a great life story. That's going to keep him up in the B tier, but he's got to tune up the rhetoric a little bit if he wants to really be a serious contender in 2024. Mike Pompeo, this guy, he kind of kept us in some involvement overseas more so than I would like as Secretary of State. I don't think he would be a very good contender for the 2024 nomination. So we're going to put him right here in the D tier to the right of Mike Pence. Paul Ryan, I don't even think I need to explain myself on this one. He was an ultimate disaster as Speaker of the House, also held back the Trump presidency. We'll put him right here. We'll put him in between Haley and Condoleezza. Speaking of Pauls, we have Rand Paul right here. Rand Paul, I believe, goes in the C tier. He's very libertarian on some issues, and I don't like him for that. Obviously, he's, free markets kind of guy, more so than I would like, especially when it comes to trade. But in terms of navigating the corruption within our government, some, the propositions that he's come up with to solve problems in the nation, and he's an anti-establishment guy. For that reason, we're going to put him in the C tier. I think, even though I disagree with him on a decent percentage of issues, in terms of his authenticity, that makes him more palatable, in my opinion, to any of the people in the D tier or the F tier. Mitt Romney, I don't even think I need to explain. We're going to put him in the F tier. We'll put him right here, in between Condi and Larry Hogan. Now we have Ron DeSantis, Big Ron. We're going straight up to the A tier. We have another high roller in Big Ron. Effective governor of Florida, gets things done, well-liked. People have said that he's not the most charismatic campaigner, which is why he's not in the S tier. But I would love and I would enthusiastically vote for Ron DeSantis or Josh Hawley in the 2024 election. So moving forward, here we have Ben Sass, terrible senator. In fact, we're going to put him, we'll put him below Nikki Haley even. Now we go to Rick Scott. Here's a guy who served as governor of Florida. Now he is a senator. He did endorse Trump over Cruz in the primary later on, which he does get credit for that. Other than that, I don't think he's really anything special. We'll put him at the top of the D tier. Also, no offense to bald people, but he is bald, and I've actually talked to a lot of people in Florida that say that they know a lot of people that didn't like him specifically for that reason. That's not my words, that's their words, so that might make him unpalatable to some in terms of him running for president. So we'll put him at the top of the D tier. Scott Walker is up next. Now, here's a guy that I have a soft spot for because when I lived in Wisconsin, all the liberals that I was surrounded by just hated him blindly for little to no reason. So I kind of had a soft spot for him always because of that. But in terms of him actually running for president, I just can't see it happening. I really don't believe that he would be the greatest choice to lead the ticket, maybe as a VP, but he's just kind of a run-of-the-mill establishment guy. And as a result, I think we'll put him in the D tier. Also, the whole pizza debacle doesn't really bode well for him, doesn't help his case. We'll put him to the left of Marco Rubio. Ted Cruz on policy has gotten a lot better. He is a fighter. He went from Lion Ted to Lion Ted as in the animal. Charisma is something that could hold him back, but as long as he's got that beard going, he does have potential to make himself a lot more likable. I just question his electability, so for right now, we are going to put him in the C tier, at the top of the C tier above Noam. So now we go to Tim Scott. Tim Scott and Lindsey Graham both are essentially the same person. Senators from South Carolina, very weak. SJW on some social issues. And really, the only reason why they're Republicans is foreign wars and low taxes. And for that reason alone, we'll put Scott in the F tier. We'll put him right next to Lindsey. So now we go to Tom Cotton. Tom Cotton on domestic issues is an underrated candidate. The guy is a war hawk overseas, and his foreign policy is borderline neocon. Also, in the whole election process, he was kind of weak. We'll put him in the B tier, but he could have been A tier about a few months ago, so he has kind of slid down a little bit. Here we go. We'll work our way back on this one. We'll start with Will Hurd, the former representative out of Texas, 23rd. We're going to be putting him in the F tier. He's a never-Trumper. We'll put him right next to his fellow Texan, Dan Crenshaw. So here we go. We have 3 left. We'll start with Don Jr., actually, in the middle here. Don Jr., I don't believe he has the charisma to do it. Not the best public speaker. He's not really his father. We are going to put him, we'll put him up in the D tier here. So that leaves us with 2 candidates remaining, Tucker Carlson and Donald Trump. Now, Tucker Carlson may not actually run for president of the United States, but if he did, on policy, in terms of talking about immigration, reducing it, building up the family, restoring our values, Tucker Carlson has been the leading voice in the media for that for a while now. And for that reason alone, I think that he would be in S tier, the best on policy for sure. We'll move him up to the top. Donald Trump as well, just the best I think that the Republican Party can do at this point. He's an outsider. He's already done some amount of positive change when he was in the White House, and if he was to run again, I really do believe that he would have a good shot at winning. So we will put Trump and Tucker up in the S tier. I would pretty much vote for anybody, C tier and above in a presidential election. D tier and below, it really depends. Some people will move up and down as the years go on. Some of this tier list is going to age well. Some of it really isn't, but here we go. Here is the full list. The S tier all the way down to the F tier here. And I will leave the link below for you guys to make your own. But either way, this is fun. I will be doing these videos more often. If you want to see another tier list, comment down below what you would like for me to rank. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Please like this video down below, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media, become a member, donate to the Patreon, or subscribe. Star links in description. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle, out.